For our pottery project, we'll be using earthenware clay. This is pottery clay that starts off super squishy, so you're going to build with it in this nice, wonderful, malleable state. And unlike our modeling clay, it's important when you get pieces of this earthenware clay, you wedge the clay to join it together to get rid of air pockets. You're not going to be wedging for a full 5 minutes to warm it up. It's already super squishy, it's already malleable and workable. We are just joining the pieces together. Once the pieces have been wedged to be joined together, then you can start working. It's important you don't overwork or over wedge this so it doesn't dry out. Once you have joined or wedged your earthenware clay, you can begin sculpting your creation. Working with this clay, you will see that it takes less pressure to bend or squish or move it into place. However, it's also going to be very sensitive, picking up your fingerprints or any textures that you might press into the clay. You can use your hands or other tools to get rid of any textures or bumps you don't like. Clay can always be reworked and edited to make it the way that you want. Let's now take a look at some differences you might experience with this clay in comparison to the modeling clay we've been working with. Something that'll happen with your project is you will get cracks in your pieces, and it's common to try to push them together and seam it up like this, but this doesn't actually help it. When the clay is really thin and there's really big cracks, we want to just add clay. We don't want to try to add water. We don't want to try to just patch it up because it will not survive the journey into the giant oven. So when this happens, you can add clay like a band-aid to patch it up, or you can just scrap that part or that piece and start over, and that's okay. When refining or editing your clay, again, you can use your fingers, you can use your hands to blend out any edges, bumps, or lumps that you don't love, and you can do a lot of your refinement with just your fingers being dry. It is okay and it is common to move from using just your hands or tools to using a little bit of water in order to change the surface of your clay. But the important thing is that you don't want to use too much water. Notice that I put just a little bit on my fingertip and then I'm using only that little bit of water, and it's all around the rim of the pot, the sides of the pot. I haven't gotten any more water. A little bit goes a long way. If you use too much, your clay work gets really sloppy and really thin and it really falls apart. So let's take a look at what it looks like when you use too much water on your earthenware clay. It starts to look like this. It's overly squishy, it's not stable, it's not sturdy, and it just becomes kind of a mess to work with, and it's not doing anything to your clay piece besides destroying it at this point. So it's really important that you do not use this much water. You can see even a little bit over, as I'm overworking in one spot, is completely tearing apart and making my pottery very weak. Let's go over how we're going to clean up with our pottery projects when we're not finished with them. When class time is over, if you leave your projects out and they're not finished, they will dry out. So it is important you take your bag and you wrap your pottery project all the way up, or zip the bag completely shut with no air coming out. That way you have a project to work on tomorrow. It is important that you tuck the bag underneath, and then you store your unfinished sculpture project in your art bin, just like any other project, and then return your bin to your class period cabinet. Lastly, you're going to grab soap and water and a towel and make sure you spray your entire area down to get all those clay particles cleaned up.